facing feet, the mouth on its stomach. Yeah, not so sure about these descriptions. But could there be a cousin of Bigfoot out there? Sure, why not? Look at those jungles. They're dense. They could easily hide something out there. But it could be a giant ground sloth that they thought to be extinct. But interesting still, does these different eyewitness accounts represent two separate creatures, though? Possibility. Okay, now we have the Yeren. Okay, this creature lives in the forests of China and is described as something very close to Bigfoot in size and appearance. What's interesting is that the Yeren hails from the general area of the world where Gigantopithecus, the ancient giant ape, is believed to have gone extinct. Equally interesting is that this beast shares a lot in common with the Mongolian almas. Yeah. Also known as the Chinese wild man, reports of this creature go back for generations. And again, like the Sasquatch in North America and the Yowie in Australia, stories often contain a touch of mysticism, making it tough to discern if the Yeren is a flesh and blood creature or some kind of spiritual being dreamed up by local cultures. Okay. Okay, now, how to find Bigfoot. Take somebody out there and dress them in a ghillie suit, right? No. My friend's husband wants to do that with me. I'm like, yeah, no, you first. But anyway, we'll put you in a ghillie suit. Yeah, no, you're not. Anyway, now that you know a bunch of places around the world where Bigfoot-like cryptids have been spotted, so go out there and catch one. Go get it. If this sounds unreasonable, let's get back to the original question. What does it mean when you think they're all part of the ape? Do you possibly think they could be descendants of the giants that supposedly roamed the earth? Excuse me, that they have dug up bones of? I mean, anything's possible. They very well could be. Yeah, sure, they could be. They very well could be. Very well could be, Michelle. Very well could be. Why not? What does it mean when so many people from so many countries and so many cultures seem to spot the same kind of creature in so many different places around the world? Yeah, and yet, despite all these sightings, there is no accepted evidence for the existence of these beings. That is not true, however, when Josh Gates found that, I think it was in the Himalayas, where he found a footprint, and some of the scientific community has said yes. That very well could be too, the skunk ape. Yeah, that's what I heard too. Could be an orangutan, which is real possible. We need to go find one, right? Then we'll know. That very well could be. I'm tending to agree with you there. But Josh Gates found that footprint. I believe it was in the mountains of the Himalayas, and it was authentic. And he really made the news in the scientific community with that. So, yeah, it's real possible. Anyway, when it comes to Bigfoot, all we can do is weigh the evidence, stories, and facts, and make our best decision about what we think is true. So many cultures around the world have names for Bigfoot. It seems to be a clue there is more here than myth and legend, which I'm always saying. There has to be some place where this started. It didn't just pop out of nowhere. Interdimensional. Very true. Good point. There's portals everywhere there. So, and here as far as that goes. Very well could be. Could that be why we can't find one when we want to? Very, very true. That's what I was just saying that exactly. Because we go out there where they've been spotted, all of a sudden we can hear them sometimes or smell them, but when it comes down to it, we can never find one. You want a good picture of a Bigfoot? Go to watch Alaska Monsters. These guys are hilarious. But anyway, here's a Bigfoot poll for you. Do you believe Bigfoot exists? For a spell check, it does for crap. Okay, do you believe Bigfoot exists? Can it be found anywhere? Do you believe it's just here in North America? Or Bigfoot isn't real? Let me know. Okay. We're going to go back a little bit and we're going to talk about the Bigfoot giganto theory. Bigfoot giganto theory. Okay, Bigfoot giganto theory. Okay. Bigfoot giganto theory is a compelling hypothesis that offers an explanation for one of the most vexing questions surrounding the Sasquatch phenomenon. Where did Bigfoot come from? Even rare, mysterious creatures aren't outside the laws of nature. If Bigfoot exists, it must have a history behind it, just like any other species. Of course. And for this, we look back to an ancient creature called the Gigantopithecus blacki. And I'm not spelling that, sorry. Giganto was a monster every bit as terrifying as Sasquatch. But in this case, we know it really existed. So here you go. There is fossil evidence, although many details about the creature remain murky. Most intriguing is the possible connection between this ancient ape and what we know today as Bigfoot. Could Gigantopithecus be an ancient Bigfoot ancestor? Very well could be. I wrote that in there so you can look it up yourselves, the Bigfoot giganto theory. Yeah, exactly, Michelle. That's what I say. I really do. Yeah, exactly. And in fact, on the show River Monsters, they found that six-gilled shark, which is interesting. We're going to get into sharks. I'm going to talk about sharks one week. I love sharks. I think they're so beautiful, but they're deadly also. Kind of like us. But anyway, they found creatures they didn't know existed or thought were extinct. But they were thought to be pretty well done in the six-gilled shark. And as a matter of fact, he was looking back to see why, when the ships went down, why the men were eaten by sharks. Well, number one, they can smell blood. But number two, there was another reason. And guys were being pulled down. Turns out the six-gilled shark goes vertical. He does not go horizontal. He goes vertical. Goes up at night, goes down deep during the day. Interesting. It's like a prehistoric monster found. So, very cool on that. They found, they didn't think giants existed either, as far as that goes. So, and then they found the evidence for that. Anyway. Was Charles Darwin really onto something when he thought up the whole evolution thing? Looking around in nature, of course, it seems to make a lot of sense. Species evolve through natural selection, changing through time, adapting and improving, or failing to adapt and going extinct. But what about a creature we know less about? What about a cryptid like Bigfoot? There are no great apes in North America, nor any record of the species before humans arrived. If Darwin is right, where did Bigfoot come from? If you believe in both Bigfoot and Charles Darwin, not everyone does, of course, you have to think there is evolutionary explanation for how Bigfoot came to tromping around the woods. The Bigfoot gigantotheory is a hypothesis that explains exactly that. Way back in the 1930s, an anthropologist discovered remnants of a genus of giant prehistoric ape in Hong Kong, in a Hong Kong apothecary shop. Go figure. After a lot of head scratching and hypothesizing, this amazing creature came to be called Gigantopithecus. The biggest species, Gigantopithecus blacki, stood 10 feet tall and is the largest ape ever known to science. Paleontologists believe Gigantopithecus inhabited areas of Asia and went extinct about 300,000 years ago. Relatively few fossils have been found. What we know of the creature has been extrapolated from fossilized teeth and jaw bones. Based on educated assumptions, it's understood that Gigantopithecus was a ground-dwelling animal who survived on vegetation, possibly bamboo. Most researchers believe Gigantopithecus walked on all fours like an orangutan, its closest living relative. But some hold to the idea that he may have been bipedal. There's no fossils of the hip or leg bones, so it's hard to tell. Several theories exist to explain the extinction of Gigantopithecus, ranging from the inadequacy of its diet to climate change to competition with humans or even predation by humans. One interesting theory may not only explain what happened, but solve another of the world's great mysteries. It evolved. Gigantopithecus evolved into what we now know as Bigfoot in North America and the Yeti in Asia. During the Pleistocene epoch, sea levels were lowered due to ice age conditions and massive glaciers. This allowed a land bridge to form between Asia and North America, the Bering Land Bridge. Early humans, as well as other animal species, crossed this land bridge 15,000 to 30,000 years ago, migrating from Asia to North America. Could Gigantopithecus have made this trek as well? Some believe that living relatives of Gigantopithecus blacki could account for sightings of North America's Bigfoot. Many qualities seem identical. They are large primates, both possibly bipedal. It's an easy jump in logic. What assumptions need to become fact for this hypothesis to work? For one thing, there is a huge gap in time between the assumed die-off of Gigantopithecus and the estimated window when the Bering Land Bridge would have been negotiable. Gigantopithecus would have had to survive this time period for which we have no fossil record, but it's possible that this is reasonable considering the relatively minute amount of evidence that presently exists for an animal that lived for hundreds of thousands of years. There may well be Gigantopithecus remains yet to be discovered in North America. It would also have had to change its diet to exist in its new world. Is it possible for a species dedicated to a specific diet environment to adapt to dramatic changes? Well, sure, it's called survival. That survival instinct kicks in, so I really think so. Numerous species that traverse the Bering Land Bridge are shown to have adapted significantly to the new environments. And if we assume Gigantopithecus was a highly intelligent creature, we can compare its circumstance to one of its relatives, the Homo sapiens. So that's the kind of the theory there. Gigantopithecus may present another interesting idea of the origins of Bigfoot. Ancient people traveled tens of thousands of years ago. They may have encountered species of giant apes, and of course the stories by word of mouth. In other words, could the legend of Bigfoot simply be a case of campfire stories passed on? No, don't think so. Native Americans have known of this creature's existence long before Europeans ever came to America, but they're not known to have used written language before their contact. Native American stories and tradition were passed by spoken word, of course. Is it possible that ancient stories of Gigantopithecus, remembered over thousands